Hello, 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 people of Earth. My name is Archer, and welcome to the first episode of Back to the Mat, a series where I, a former wrestling fan, returns to watch the product and at the same time document my experience along the way. And before we get into anything else, I want to set some expectations. This isn't a super fan analysis channel, and it's not a recap channel where I pretend everything is perfect. This is a real time experiment with an honest approach on the product that the WWE is delivering. Because I used to be locked in, the dirt sheets, the podcast, the whole routine, just absorbing wrestling content as much as I could. I even watched New Japan Pro Wrestling. I was that guy for a while, for years. Then I dropped it and now I'm coming back cautiously. And I'm going to document what it feels like week to week. Now, let's talk about the origins and how I got here. So, I grew up watching wrestling. SmackDown was the weekly ritual. Uh, I remember that feeling. The entrances, the storyline, the promos that felt natural. It felt like a whole universe you could step into. And the characters, they mattered. And for me, Eddie Guerrero was my guy. That's the first name that comes to mind when I think about what wrestling means to me. Eddie had that thing where you weren't just watching, you were invested. You cared, right? And after Eddie's passing, may he rest in peace, I took a liking to Edge, Jeff Hardy, CM Punk, Chris Jericho, The Miz. I came to appreciate The Miz later on, and the same goes with JBL. I feel like when I was a kid during that time, it wasn't, they were my favorites, but as I grew older, I was like, wow, there's an appreciation. You know, you know, I was deeply rooted, but bad storytelling and inconsistencies made me feel like I was in a bad relationship. And I slowly began to drift away. So this is the point where I didn't hate wrestling. I just started pulling away from it. And it was because of three core ideas. The first one, the storylines felt inconsistent. It's like the show would ask you to invest and then punish you for watching. Things would build, then reset, then act like nothing happened. Point number two, the pushes felt forced. You know that feeling when you're being told, this is the guy, this is the direction, now deal with it, even when the crowd is clearly not buying it? And finally, number three, the payoffs felt random. Like the ending didn't match the setup. And I kept having this thought, why is this happening? What's the purpose of that segment? And what's the payoff? Right? And eventually it hit me. You know, this was insulting my intelligence because I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for logic. Give me a reason. Give me a payoff. Respect the time I'm giving you. You are stealing my time just because I'm loyal. I gave WWE the benefit of the doubt. And then at that point, it was time to move on. I was watching because I didn't have much going on. There wasn't a lot of substance in my life at the time, and wrestling became the thing I filled the time with. I dedicated hours to it, and it felt forced because I grew up with it. I couldn't find my alternative. Stories would start, stop, reset, like you were being told to care without being given a reason. And it wasn't just one time. It was years of that feeling, like, wait, why am I investing in this if it doesn't matter next week? And I stuck around longer than I should have until one day I said, I'm done. I didn't look back. I didn't even care about the product anymore. I couldn't find a reason to tune in every week. And the weird part is, I didn't even miss it right away. I just said adios. If there was a 180-degree shift the next day, I would have stayed gone. It was already over. And then over time, wrestling started popping up again. Not because I went looking for it, just sprinkles of content entering my feed. The CVV clips, moments, highlights, things like that, WrestleMania announcements, random headlines, stuff I didn't ask for, but you know, it kept showing up. And at first, I ignored it because I remember what it felt like to be let down. So I wasn't taking it seriously. I wasn't hooked again. I was just seeing it here and there. I ignored it because I remember that feeling of being let down. But the sprinkles didn't stop. And eventually, it started to snowball, right? And little by little, more things started pulling me closer. John Cena's retirement tour played a part in that, pulling on nostalgia. Cody Rhodes finishing the story felt meaningful. And even the behind the curtain stuff like WWE Unreal. That didn't fully hook me, but it definitely piqued my interest. Just seeing the machine behind the show made me curious. And I started realizing something. I wasn't hate watching. I didn't feel like I was being taken advantage of. I was curious again, popping my head in every now and then. I was curious. I didn't commit to watching the full show, but I did watch some clips and a bit more intentionally this time. And that's dangerous because once wrestling gets you curious, it's like you're one good storyline away from caring again. Right? And suddenly, I was paying attention. Now, look, I know the fan base is struggling right now in terms of storylines and booking. I've seen the conversations online. I know people are frustrated with trips. And honestly, the way fans feel now reminds me of how I felt back then. But here's what's different, at least from my perspective, coming back in, right? In the past, it felt like they were insulting my intelligence, lazy bookings, random turn, things happening just because. Nowadays, it feels like the come a long way. It feels better. It feels like there's more meat on the bone. Like there's more reasons to emotionally invest. More reasons for things to matter. I'm not saying it's glorious. I'm not saying it can't disappoint me again. I'm saying it's not perfect, but it's improved enough to earn my time. And that's a huge shift. Let me lay out exactly what this series is so you know what to expect. And I like to call this the viewer's promise. First, I'm watching again with a new perspective and an open mind. And the weekly commitment is Raw, SmackDown, and the PLEs. That's the core. Second, after each show, I'm doing a post show breakdown, not a super fan recap for the sake of recapping. I'm talking what hit, what missed, and what actually felt earned. Okay. Three, I'm gonna do predictions on storylines and share my personal thoughts as things go on. Right? Because part of being a fan is asking, where is this going? And whether it makes sense when it gets there. Essentially, the payoff. Right? Four. And this is the most important part. Look, there's no super fan analysis, no brand loyalty, and no sugarcoating. I'm not here to defend the product. I'm not here to hate it for clicks. I'm here to tell the truth about what it feels like to come back and whether it earns my time. Okay? Just real thoughts about what I see and how I feel. And I'll be documenting the process. And I'll be real, this could fail. I could watch one episode of Raw and go, you know what? That was a complete waste of time. Why did I even start this? That's possible. But I will keep going because storylines take time. But I'm doing this because this snowball effect has brought something back. It's bringing back that feeling I used to have when I was a kid, when wrestling wasn't just background noise, it was something you looked forward to. Okay, so I'm gonna commit to this. I'm gonna enjoy the ride, and I genuinely want this to succeed. So, if you're watching this and you're also a lapsed fan, or you never left, or somewhere in between, look, drop a comment. Let me know what era made you fall in love with wrestling, or what made you step away. And if you want to join the ride, you know, come on this journey with me from week to week. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification so you know exactly when I drop the video, and comment below, of course. The support, it really helps more than you know. So in the end, am I my back permanently, or do I walk away again after a year? Either way, we're documenting it. You're gonna be seeing this as it goes. So stay tuned, for the Monday Night Raw recap.